A great time being. Why do I keep saying have a great time?
I don't know.
I don't know why that is. Thank you so much for nerding out with me today on grammar stuff and word choice. Oh, okay. Ugh. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Scott at Scott Doty TV, and today we are going to nerd out over words. Not etymology. Today we're going to talk about word confusion. It's very common for students to mistake one word for another in their writing, and it gets them into trouble. They'll lose points on their essays in school, on their standardized test essays, because they mistake one word for another. So let's do a little discussion today. Let's nerd out about proper word usage. We don't want to use word X, we want to use word Y. Now I know that you're a lifelong learner, you want your kids to be lifelong learners as well, so I want to equip you with this specific knowledge so you can be an asset to your kids' academic process. So check this out. Here is a short list to get us started on this topic of word confusion. Alright, so here we go. Common mistakes. It's versus its, or whose versus whose. Okay? This is our first category of mistakes or confusion that people have. The contraction form of a word versus the possessive form of the word. Its is the contraction for it is or it has. So this would be the one we use for it's raining outside. Okay? Or who's coming to dinner? That would be this one. Who is coming? The contraction are these here. These are the possessives. The squirrel chased its tail. Whose book is this? Here we go. So please don't mistake this for that or this for that. These questions, these particular ones are on the SAT and the ACT all the time, because even 16 to 17-year-olds who have been speaking English their whole lives mistake one for the other all the time. That's the first category. Second category, things that get mixed up frequently, is the category of number. So, between, should I use the word between or should I use the word among? And this is simply a matter of how many are involved. If it's two, it should be between. Between you and me, I think that this is the case. Or you might say, between James and Kevin, James is the one who is more fun on weekends. Okay, so there you have the idea of just two people. But among is for three or more people or three or more things. Among the many nations represented at the event, only Uzbekistan played ping pong. All right, cool. That made no sense. Now, between versus among, okay? Another example of that would be latter versus last. Okay? When you have two options, when you have two options, you have the idea of former, which is the first of two, or latter, which is the second of two. Last is the end one of a series of things that are three or more things in the series. So, is it two? You can use former or latter, you can use between. If it's three or more, you can use words like among or first or last. Okay? Very good. Here's another category. The concept is the idea of doing it to yourself versus doing it to something else, like an object. So lie is something that I will do to myself. I'm going to go lie down. But I'm going to lay the pen down. I'm going to lay my burdens down. I could even lay my friend down on the bed. But if I'm going to do it to myself, I don't lie. I don't lay. Oh, I'm going to go lay down. No, you're not. You're going to go lie down. You do that to yourself. Just like you rise to the occasion, but you raise an issue, or you raise your hand. You raise an object other than yourself. Common mistakes here. Okay? So we have three categories so far of commonly mistaken words. I want to add, okay, maybe one or two more quick things. Words that are confused for each other. Let's go. All right, so another good one that I see again on middle school tests, elementary school, high school standardized tests, even grad school exams. I see these kinds of questions. What's the difference between less and fewer? Okay? This is about the countability of an object or a situation. So for example, less is the word that's used for volume. You might feel less pain than you used to feel because you can't quantify your pain. It's a volume, it's a feeling of love or anguish or pain are words that you can't quantify. Whereas fewer is something that you can quantify, you can count. So if I'm talking about the number of people at a party, I should not say, oh, there's so many less people here than I'd expected. No. There are fewer people because I can count those people. Okay? In the same vein, if I'm talking about an amount of pain or an amount of joy or an amount of water or an amount of oil, that's fine. But as soon as I'm talking about barrels of oil or bottles of water, that's something I can count. So there's a greater number of bottles, or there's a smaller amount of oil. Okay? These are about things that we cannot count. These are volumes. These are things that we can count. And I want to point out specifically this word fewer is the one that's underutilized. People will frequently use less when they should be using fewer because the situation calls for something that is this word because it's something that you can count. Okay? So we'll leave it there for now. That's a quick rundown today of some very commonly mistaken words, confused words, and if you can help your students navigate this issue when they're writing, you will help to give them a real leg up as they get through standardized tests and essay work in school. But thank you so much for nerding out with me today on word choice, and I hope it equips you to be a wonderful academic asset to your kids. And until next time, I'll see you on Scott Doty TV soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.